Hi guys, I'm Martin Aguilar. I'm part of the Clinical Projects Office, and we're here today to talk about the room in, room out process. I'm going to start off by walking you through current state. What we're looking at right now is times, columns for provider names, and as well as what patients are. This is what it looks like right now in current state. What we're trying to show you guys is what it looks like from each provider perspective, but as well as what are the gaps between provider times and other rooms that are available to share within the space. As you can see, we've staggered everyone. Not everyone starts at the same time, but wanted to call out what this potential clinic would look like.
Melissa Holm. I'm also a project manager with the Clinical Projects Office. I work with Martin, and what I'm going to talk about is what's the problem we're trying to solve. So, as you can see, when we put our providers in a singular column and put their patients underneath them, it creates the illusion that they are in one room. And what functionally that becomes is a series of gaps in the day. So what we're looking for is a way to look at this rooms not only as a singular resource, but as a shared resource. So if you were to compress these schedules to their least number of spaces, we could fill these gaps.
Hi, I'm Liz Corcoran. I'm the manager of the Clinical Projects Office. So let's talk what that compression actually ends up looking like. So in this scenario, we have one provider who has an 8 a.m. appointment and another provider who has an 8:30 appointment. But they're taking up 2 rooms even though there's not 2 patients at the same time. So what it might look like is taking that second patient and consolidating them into that original room. So now we have a whole room available at that same time where we could potentially be seeing 2 patients instead of just 1. So by consolidating these things, we're getting the most bang for our buck out of the rooms and really looking at having providers utilize those spaces in a shared way. Think of it kind of like you would, I don't know, assign families a table at a restaurant, right? The hostess doesn't necessarily say like, oh, I specifically work at this one table. Instead, everybody has a section, and if you have a 4-top or a 4-person group come in, you seat them at the next available table, not just the one that is assigned to you. So we're gonna erase this board and we're gonna show you what this would look like if we smushed everything together and how much more room we would have. Okay, so we erased the board and kind of smushed everything together. And instead of assuming that there is one provider per column, instead what we've done is assigned providers a color to indicate how they can share rooms. So you can see what was previously going to take us 4 rooms and we had all of these gaps, now only reduces us to needing 3 rooms throughout the day, and we have lots of flex space. So for example, if a provider is running late or something like that, we can flex into this 3rd room and still make sure that our clinic is running as efficiently as possible, that if providers run on time or run late, we're not running out of space. And if we're running on time, we're able to fit more patients into the space that we already have.
So let's talk about what it will look like through the day. As we currently operate, the MAs are populating the board with all of the appointments for the day, and each provider gets a column. And what we're moving towards is starting with the board empty at the start of the day. You'll still receive your DA to show you what hallway you are principally going to be working out of, but we're looking at those as a shared resource. Back to that restaurant analogy, it is like your section, and your patients may be seated at different tables through the day. So let's start with, we have an 8 o'clock appointment, and that person arrives on time, and we're going to put them into room 1. We also have another doc with a patient at 8 o'clock, and they get booked in room 2. So when we're getting into our next appointments, we notice that for an 8:30 appointment, the patient 1 in room 1 is running long. so we're not going to use room 1. Patient 2, however, in room 2 is out on time and everything gets flipped, so we can room patient 3 in room 2. Then we have some 9 o'clocks coming in. We can go back to our room 1. For our next few appointments. And so on through the day. So we will be able to mark on the boards when the patient's ready, and also connect you with the secure chat to let you know. So in the case where you're going from one appointment to the other, you should already know by looking at your secure chat that you can go to whatever room your next patient is in. We are looking into other options other than secure chat, but that will be our communication tool for the time being.
All right, guys, so now let's talk about telehealth and how telehealth is going to work within the clinic floor. I have 3 scenarios for you to talk about. First scenario is blue. When we look at blue, for the scenario is patient 1 is in person, patient 2 is in person, patient 3 is telehealth, and then patient 4 is in person. Then we go back to telehealth and back to in person. The way we would want to operate with this type of scenario is to remain in the clinic space and still utilizing the exam rooms. If there's a possibility to get you in a telehealth room, we would do that, but the priority is to keep you in your main location to just not disrupt your clinic day and workflow. We'll talk about scenario 2 in red. For example, you have 4 telehealth patients back to back, and then you have 2 in-persons at the end of your clinic shift. What we're looking here is, are you going to be in clinic or are you going to be doing this remotely? And communication going to the MAs. For example, if you're going to be in clinic and it's 4 telehealth back to back, we want to look at options and scenarios where, can we put you in a telehealth room? Can we put you in a consult room? Exam room space, we want to kind of control it for in-person visits. So that's kind of what we're looking at. How do we best utilize the space within the 4th floor as well as all the other floors? But having that space still allocated for your in-person visits when those do come up. And that's how we are looking and envisioning for scenario 2 to work. The last and final scenario that we've been working with is where you have telehealth for all 6 visits. Sometimes you guys do communicate to the MAs or the floor staff supervisors that you'll be doing those remotely, which is great because we can kind of predict that we're going to have a free room and use it within the pool of rooms to room patients. There's other scenarios where it's not communicated and we're waiting 50-50 whether you're going to appear and start doing the telehealth and having that exam room available for you. What we've been looking at, as well as the MSO, is does it make more sense for you to have a telehealth block within your clinic if you are telehealth heavy? And those are the scenarios that we want to have conversations with. If you're open to those telehealth block clinics, let us know. We can get you connected with the MSO and work on those telehealth blocks. The other part about all telehealth is the other portion where, can we find a consult room? Can we find a telehealth room space where you can do those telehealth clinics within those spaces that are allocated? And another reminder is that we do look at telehealth. If you're able to do it from your office, from your desk, it really does benefit the in-person patients that are coming in. And that's how we're looking at telehealth overall. We're open to suggestions, but we felt like this is probably one of the best situations that we can work and maintain clinic to be effective throughout the day.
Okay, so that is our short, very high level explainer of how we envision the rooming first in, first out model will work. We recognize that there are still a lot of things to resolve, outstanding questions, and opportunities for improvement. And that's great. This is just a starting place for us to start experimenting with this process. As such, we absolutely welcome your feedback and would love to hear from you. You can contact the Clinical Projects Office via either myself, Elizabeth Corcoran, Martin Aguilar, or Melissa Holm. Feel free to email us at any time, and please also look for additional communications in the forms of emails, drop-in session calendar invites, communications from your leadership teams, and emails. We are going to have lots and lots of additional communication coming out about this, opportunities for you to ask questions and get things clarified. Thank you so much for participating with us as we try out this new model, and we look forward to hearing how it goes.